Great. Welcome back, everyone, from closed session. First, I'd like the record to reflect that Trustee De La Fuente has joined us. So welcome, Trustee De La Fuente. And I will report that we have nothing to report out from closed session. All right, we will now move on to section 3 of the agenda. Do any trustees wish to remove an item from the consent agenda for discussion or for separate vote? Hearing none, let's go to public comment, please, Terry.
There is no public comment.
Thank you very much. I'll take a motion.
Move approval.
Haynes, move approval.
Thank you, Haynes.
Second.
Thank you, Melgar. Terry will take the roll, please.
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Adrian Brown. Present. Tom Epstein.
Yes.
That's an aye vote.
Adrian, do you agree with the vote?
Aye.
Okay. Pam Haynes.
Aye.
Harry Legrand.
Aye.
Jesse Melgar.
Aye.
Jennifer Perry.
Aye.
Syrian Villavicencio.
Aye.
Blas Villalobos.
Aye.
Joseph Williams.
Terry, can you ask Trustee De La Fuente for his vote, please? I don't know if he was in that role.
Ricardo De La Fuente.
Aye.
Thank you. 11 ayes. Motion passes.
Great. Thank you very much, Terry. All right. At this time, we'll go to our action agenda. Item 4.1 is our 2026 California Community College Trustees CCCT Board election. And for that, I'll pass it over to our president.
Good morning, President Aguinaldo, Vice President Rawlings, and members of the Calbright Board of Trustees. Oh, jeez. Good morning, President Aguinaldo, Vice President Perry, and members of the Board of Trustees. The election
It's a promotion of sorts, yes.
The election of members to the California Community College Trustee Board takes place between March 10th and April 25th. The Calbright Board of Trustees can submit one ballot comprised of selected candidates to the California Community College Trustee Board on or before April 25th, 2026. So Calbright must select its candidates at the next meeting of the Executive Committee, which is on April 15th. And so with this board item, we're requesting that the Board of Trustees approve authorization for the Executive Committee of the Board to select candidates for whom the Board will cast its votes. This concludes my request, and thank you.
All right. Any board comments? Hearing none. Any public comment, Terry?
There is no public comment.
Okay. I'll take a motion.
So move.
Thank you, Trustee Legrand.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Melgar. Terry, if you could call the vote, please.
That was Trustee De La Fuente.
Oh, you guys sound very similar. Thank you, Trustee De La Fuente. Terry, if you could call the roll, please.
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Adrian Brown.
Aye.
Ricardo De La Fuente.
Aye.
Tom Epstein.
Aye.
Pam Haynes.
Aye.
Harry Legrand.
Aye.
Jesse Melgar.
Aye.
Jennifer Perry.
Aye.
Syrian Villavicencio.
Aye.
Blas Villalobos.
Aye.
Joseph Williams.
Aye.
11 approve, 0 oppose.
Great. Thank you very much, Terry. Motion passes. Item 4.2 is the California School Employees Association and its Calbright chapter number 53 and Calbright College Reopener Sunshine items with the intent to begin collective bargaining. For that one, I will pass it to our Senior Manager of Human Resources, Timea Iharosi.
Thank you very much. Good morning, President Aguinaldo, Vice President Perry, and the members of the board. My name is Tia Haroshi. I'm the Senior Manager of Human Resources at Calbright College. Today, I am presenting to you the sunshine items from both CSEA and Calbright College. This item presents a request to accept the initial proposals that will allow us to begin negotiations regarding openers to the 2025-2028 California School Employees Association and its Calbright Chapter 53 collective bargaining agreement. This item is to make the interest of each party transparent and allow for public comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Taimea. Any board comments? Okay, hearing none. Terry, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you very much, Terry. At this time, let's take the vote. Oh,
Hildegard.
just kidding. Hold on. I need a motion. I need a motion.
Motion.
Thank you, Trustee De La Fuente.
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Haynes. Now we'll do the vote.
Hildegard Aguinaldo.
Aye.
Adrian Brown.
Aye.
Ricardo de la Fuente.
Aye.
Tom Epstein. Pam Haynes.
Aye.
Harry LeGrand.
Aye.
Jesse Melgar.
Aye.
Jennifer Perry. Syrian Villavicencio.
Aye.
Blas Villalobos. And Joseph Williams.
Aye.
11 approve, 0 oppose. Motion carries.
Thank you very much, Terry. All right, we are moving swiftly to item 5.1, which is the introduction of Calbright's partnership with North Orange County Continuing Education. I will pass that one over to our Senior Vice President for Strategic Initiatives, Tamika Connor.
Thank you, President Algranado. I am super excited to introduce our partnership with North Orange, and I will and start our slide. Thank you. So just 1 second. Okay. So I want to take a few moments to walk us through this important partnership focused on expanding access and improving outcomes for adult learners. This is a multi-year partnership and collaboration centered on sharing practices and learnings from one another to better support adult learners. At its core, this work is about reducing barriers, strengthening the student experience, and improving how adult learners move forward in post-secondary education and into the workforce. Next slide, please. Before we begin, I want to introduce our partner. North Orange Continuing Education, or NOCE, is one of the largest and most established non-credit institutions in California. They serve tens of thousands of adult learners each year with a strong focus on workforce preparation. They are nationally recognized for the work in adult education and for creating accessible entry points for learners who are often underserved by traditional systems. We are honored to have President Valentina Portel join us today, who brings deep experience in adult education and a strong commitment to student-centered innovation. Valentina has been a leader in advancing non-credit pathways and ensuring that adult learners have clear, supported transitions into further education and careers. I want to also take a moment to thank Chancellor Byron Breland of North Orange County Community College District for his leadership and support in making this partnership possible. His commitment to collaboration and expanding opportunities for adult learners has been critical in moving this work forward. Next slide, please. At a high level, this partnership again focuses on a set of strategies that strengthens how adult learners experience online education. We are sharing and testing approaches across several key areas, including credit for prior learning, stackable pathways, onboarding and student supports, and online work-based learning, and policy and research. Each institution applies these insights within its own model. The goal is to learn what works, refine it over time, and strengthen how we support adult learners. And now I will turn it over to President Purnell. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Dr. Connor. Good morning, trustees. I'm very excited to see you again as we present this very important partnership between our institutions. This proposed partnership is intentionally aligned with the Vision 2030 goals, particularly expanding access and accelerated student success and strengthening workforce alignment. Our focus is on scaling distance education instructional models that are responsive to the reality of working adult learners whom both institutions serve. This partnership emphasizes accelerated and flexible pathways that allow students to progress efficiently toward career training and employment outcomes while balancing work, family, and education. Next slide, please. This is definitely an opportunity for innovation. NOCE and Calbright College are uniquely positioned for this important work as institutions dedicated exclusively to adult learners through non-credit education. Both institutions share a commitment to accessible, competency-based learning models, and this partnership creates a powerful opportunity to leverage our complementary strengths. Calbright's leadership in digital learning and online delivery, and NOCE's longstanding expertise in non-credit programming and community education. Together, we will define and refine effective models that bridge non-credit to credit-bearing pathways, ensuring students have clear opportunities for continued advancement. Next slide, please. We will concentrate on several high-impact areas: streamlined onboarding experience, specifically designing a seamless student-centered intake process that reduces barriers and accelerates entry into programs; virtual student support services, expanding access to advising and navigation in virtual reality; and credit for prior learning, or CPL mapping, very important for our students. This will align competencies with credit pathways to ensure that students receive recognition for existing skills and experience and competencies that they attain through non-credit education. And of course, professional learning for faculty. These focus areas are designed to create a cohesive, student-centered ecosystem that supports both access and success. And ultimately, this is about meeting students where they are and designing systems that support timely completion and economic mobility at scale. Thank you, and I'll hand it back to Dr. Connor.
Thank you. This slide highlights the direct impact on students. Students, again, will be able to move through their pathways more quickly, especially as we expand ways to recognize credit for prior learning and reduce unnecessary steps. They will also benefit from greater flexibility, which is critical for balancing education with work and life responsibilities. At the same time, we are strengthening support so students will have what they need to start strong and continue making progress. We will also explore opportunities to expand work-based learning, helping students connect their education to real-world experience. Taken together, this work contributes to stronger outcomes for adult learners and has the potential to drive impact across the broader system. Next slide, please. And from a broader perspective, this partnership has strategic values. It strengthens regional and statewide collaboration by bringing institutions together around a shared commitment to adult learner success. It also helps develop models that can be adapted and replicated across the system. This work advances innovation and non-credit programming and helps us better respond to the realities that adult learners face today. This partnership also reflects how institutions can work together in a more intentional way. By sharing practices and learning from one another, we are able to improve more quickly and thoughtfully. It positions Calbright as a strong partner and a leader in advancing new approaches to serving adult learners. Next slide, please. Thank you.
Great. Thank you both for the presentation. President Purcell, we are no stranger to you and your college, because I think in our other hat, wearing our Board of Governors hat, we came to visit you and Chancellor Breland, and I still have a photograph on my phone of Chancellor Breland holding this delicious popsicle, because that was one of the most outstanding culinary arts programs we've ever visited. But really impressed with your program back then, really elated to hear about this collaboration now, and I think you said it very powerfully that this is an opportunity to elevate complementary strengths. So thank you very much for just enhancing the work that we all do together. At this time, I'll take some board comments. Trustee Melgar and then Trustee Brown.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. I'm curious, I know it's a little premature to ask, but curious what the anticipated impact might be for this. Like, how many students do you anticipate serving, or you predict serving in the first year? And I know it's a 3-year partnership. And then could you give a few examples of some of the non-credit programs that you're looking at supplementing?
I can start if that's okay. North Orange Continuing Education alone typically serves between 16 and 17,000 students per year. Of course, not all of them take career technical education programs. About 21% of them do, and the rest of the students are potential students for CTE programs, because we do a lot of internal outreach. In terms of the types of programs that we offer that I think would be most suitable for a particular pathway between an OCE and Calbright College and beyond are IT, like Google IT, Apple Swift, medical assistant, pharmacy technician, and we also have a series of management-related and human resources-related certificates. I've mentioned these particular programs because all of them are offered in either hybrid or completely online format. So I think it will be a great opportunity for us to connect our programs to each other.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I'll add maybe one more thing, which I think is significant, and it's highlighted when we talk about things like CPL. One of the things that often happens is we make the policies. Well, you all make the policies, and we do this in the context of what conditions are in place to allow for things like credit for prior learning to happen widely across the system. Rarely do we partner to test how real students experience that, whether it is really set up to actually successfully conduct that type of transaction. So these types of collaborations are important, not just because there's aligned program pathways, but also because the way of working and piloting, that's the Calbright brand of this, allows it to be instrumented with data and evidence to figure out what does it take to actually see that throughput on credit. And so what we're most excited about with the partnership between our two organizations, particularly with the incredible work that Chancellor Breland and President Purcell have done at North Orange is kind of that ability to do that value aid, to kind of test together in community in a way that can have relevance, importance, not just for that community, but system-wide. So these types of collaborations that we seek to enter into with other community colleges and other community college districts who are, aligned on values and wanting to, push the envelope on new types of models. The kind of R&D capacities that we've developed as a college allow us to kind of accelerate that work and partnership, and also to have the results that are produced have application more broadly across the communities that we're trying to serve under Vision 2030. So I did just kind of want to highlight that piece of the example.
Trustee Villavicencio. Oh, just kidding. Trustee Brown, then Trustee Villavicencio.
So first of all, this is very exciting. We got the opportunity to visit North Orange County continuing education, and it was just such a warm environment that can't be faked with our interactions with the students and the employees. And so this is really exciting because I'm really interested in how we can ensure that our online students have an equitable experience to the experience that our in-person students get. So as I was looking at this joint approach to supporting the adult learners slide, I started thinking about that experience when you go to a restaurant and you have all these different employees and not one particular server assigned to you. And sometimes 5 people will walk by and you don't get anything you need, right? And then there's others where even if they have a multiple employee system, somehow they always are attentive to your needs, and they're passing the word between each other if there's something that you need, making sure the right person, right? And you just feel really taken care of. So I'm really curious about this referral systems and the shared data piece, because I feel like in the online environment, those two things are what will help create that sort of warm referral and connectedness that we want our students to experience. So I'm wondering if you could share a little bit more about what that's going to look like.
Thank you, Trustee Brown. Your comments are very to the point when it comes to creating a seamless experience for our students, especially in an online environment. What we found at NOCE is that oftentimes the heart of our employees, as you mentioned, is in the right place. They all care for students. They want to create that warm environment. But what we need to provide our employees is structured process and tools that will facilitate that warm handoff, if you will. So at NOCE, we are excited to pilot a customer relations system, and I've heard that Calbright College already uses one. So we are really curious to learn from them how they use it, how they, set up pathways and handoff steps. And we would like to replicate those proven practices. And we believe that with the structure and the tools and the heart that's already in place, we will create that warm and replicate warm environment in an online environment as we have it on campus.
And I would just add that, part of our enabling legislation is to share our learnings with the system as a whole. And so we have done lots of work on behavioral science with Marissa Bold, and we want to share Ideals 42 work and test and pilot and continue to do that R&D. And this is a wonderful opportunity for us to expand that for adult learners with the work that we'll do with North Orange Continuing Education.
Now, Trustee Villavicencio.
Thank you, President Aguinaldo. I'm grateful to see again President Partnell here with us again. I just highlight what Trustee Brown mentioned. We visited NOCE a few months ago, and it was just a wonderful experience to get to know your faculty, your staff, your administration, but particularly your students. And I'm just really excited to see that this partnership is happening. As mentioned, this is, I think, part of the mission, as was already mentioned at Calbright, share in a way best practices and how we can support our colleges. Just to add on to that explanation, I was wondering if you could explain to me more of the structure. Are you thinking of getting more students from NOCE to take more of Calbright's program, or is it Calbright students going into NOCE's program? I'm just unsure what that structure in a way looks like. I was wondering if you could just maybe add on to Trustee Brown's comments here, what that student experience looks like. Are they going to be considered an NOCE student, a Calbright student, or a combination or hybrid of both? I'd love just to see that partnership and just get clarity at what that will look like for, again, these new students who will take advantage of this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Villavicencio. Happy to see you. I think it's all of the above. We are looking, so one of the focus areas for our partnership is credit for prior learning mapping. To begin with, it's between the two institutions. We want to find complementary certifications in the same discipline or the same industry where we could look for pathways and articulated pathways from one institution to another. And it could be from NOCE to Calbright, from Calbright to NOCE. But we also want to take it further because both institutions, as I mentioned, focus on non-credit education, and yet we would like to provide an opportunity for our students to receive that credit for prior learning in other credit-bearing colleges, not just within our districts, but across the state. So both institutions have been working with Dr. Sam Lee, who is the brain master behind MAP. So he is working on developing MAP pages for Calbright and NOCE, mapping out our existing certificates to the certificates and degrees of other colleges across the state.
Yeah, I'm grateful to see this and to see perhaps this is a great pilot here to see if it works. Definitely, as mentioned, to scale it out to other college partners or other districts within our system. So really excited to see this work, and I look forward to hearing how it goes and how it better serves our students in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee De La Fuente.
I'm excited for this partnership. I think with the rate of change, I think I'm a big proponent of lifelong learning, and I think with so many changes in so many industries, there's going to be a lot of reskilling and upskilling, and I think there's going to be people are living longer, so I think we're going to have more demand for this over the long term. You know, what you learned in computer science class 30 years ago is not what you learn today, and I think it's a great partnership. So looking forward to see the impact.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Terry, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you, Terry. Vice President Perry.
I just want to say how exciting this is. It is, I think, just a model for the sort of flexibility and scalability and all the things that Calbright can do, really sort of leaning into your agility. And I love the phrase test together in community. There was something about that, talking about broadening the Calbright community and broadening your community, all for the benefit of the students. So this is really exciting, and I think kind of a great hallmark. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much again, President Pertel and Dr. Connor, and please give our regards to Chancellor Breland.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move to item 5.2, the Launch Apprenticeship Network Local Education Academy Agency Agreement. We welcome back Dr. Connor for that one.
Thank you. And thank you again, trustees. I'm excited to be joined by Natalie Weaver, the Director of Partnerships and Programs at Launch Apprenticeship Network. Together, we'll walk through how this partnership creates real pathways to economic mobility for adult learners. Next slide, please. We are at an exciting moment where education and workforce are coming together in new and more efficient ways. Many of our students cannot afford to pause work to go back to school. At the same time, employers are looking for talent with real skills and experience. California is responding to this shift by investing in earn and learn models that connect education directly to jobs. Calbright is well positioned to lead in this space. We have built flexible online programs designed for working adults and have strong partnerships across the state. This partnership allows us to take the next step. It creates a model where students can earn and learn and build meaningful career momentum all at the same time. Next slide, please. This is where Launch becomes a strong partner. Launch is a statewide apprenticeship sponsor. This means they handle employer engagement, program registration, and compliance around apprenticeships. This also allows Calbright to participate in registered apprenticeships without having to build a new infrastructure. It's a complementary model. Calbright focuses on instruction, student support, and credentials. Launch focuses on employers and apprenticeship systems. Together, we bring education and paid work into one clear pathway for students. And now I will invite our partner from Launch Apprenticeship, Natalie Weaver, to join me. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Dr. Connor. Good morning, esteemed members of the Board of Trustees. I want to first thank you and Calbright for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Natalie Weaver, and I'm the Director of Programs and Projects at the Launch Apprenticeship Network. It is my pleasure to join you today to share a little bit about our organization and discuss our partnership with Calbright. First, what is the Launch Apprenticeship Network? We are an organization that is fiscally sponsored by the Foundation for California Community Colleges. Our mission is to empower community colleges to lead, expand, and elevate registered apprenticeship programs, building a stronger, more equitable, and better prepared workforce for California. We serve as a state and federal program sponsor and intermediary, working closely with our 47 plus education partners and over 200 employers to implement programs in multiple industry sectors, including automotive, education, healthcare, information technology, manufacturing, and community and public services. Next slide, please. To date, Launch and the partners in our network have collectively registered over 2,000 apprentices. We have been able to accomplish this by streamlining the process of apprenticeship program development within the community college system, establishing a unified apprenticeship strategy. By centralizing administrative processes and technical assistance, Launch reduces the time it takes for new programs to get off the ground and makes more efficient use of public funding. Next slide, please. Through our partnership with Calbright, we reimagine how they will support working students as an apprenticeship institute. Community colleges serve as the backbone infrastructure for businesses, job seekers, and career builders, utilizing their related coursework for apprentices and enhancing existing services to provide wraparound support for workers. This approach provides Calbright students with an opportunity to earn a salary through their employer without sacrificing their education attainment. Next slide, please. Here's an example of how Launch supports the college-connected apprenticeship ecosystem. This pie chart represents our Industrial Technology and Manufacturing Committee in the Inland Empire. Committees are a requirement of an apprenticeship program to maintain compliance, and we host ours on a quarterly basis. Communities are facilitated and led by industry partners as represented in the orange on the pie chart. They're the drivers of our apprenticeship programs, setting standards to maintain quality and growth. Education providers in red serve in the advisory capacity, providing updates on apprentice recruitment, progress, retention, and completion. In silver, our government agency partners provide oversight and ensure we stay in compliance, as well as provide opportunities for funding or resources. And in blue is Launch as the intermediary sponsor, also serving in an advisory capacity. We coordinate, convene, and help facilitate the committees on behalf of our employer and education partners. Beyond that, we serve as the liaison between the state and federal agencies for program registration. We register apprentices and coordinate the tracking and completion, including distributing certificates, as well as provide technical assistance to our college partners for implementation. As a convener and system integrator, our role is to ensure that Calbright gets connected to the appropriate committees to more rapidly support their students' career trajectory. I'll now turn it back over to Dr. Connor for the next slide. Thank you.
Thank you. This partnership will be designed around what students need. An apprenticeship allows students to earn money while they learn, develop industry-specific skills, and see real wage growth over time. For adult learners, this is especially important since many, again, cannot afford to take a break from their jobs to go back to school. This approach removes the problem by combining income with education. This will hopefully create a wage progression in earnings as students build skills. This is not just education. This is a direct pathway to a better job and long-term career growth. Next slide, please. Our work with Launch Apprenticeship is directly connected to the system's Vision 2030 goals. A key focus is expanding access by creating flexible earn and learn pathways that allow more Californians to enter and continue their education. Another focus is strengthening success by helping students complete and move into meaningful careers. By combining education with paid work, students gain both credentials and real experience to lead to stronger outcomes. Equally important is building coordinated support. This partnership brings together colleges, employers, workforce boards, and community partners to provide the full range of support adult learners need to stay on track. Our approach is to connect these elements into one clear and seamless pathway for students. Our strategy is to build models that demonstrate results at scale, advancing Vision 2030 priorities around student success. Next slide, please.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and take this one. This slide provides an overview of Launch's programs that are currently registered with the California Division of Apprenticeship Standards. Through our new partnership, Calbright can now select one of these occupations for accelerated implementation for their students and business partners. We also have 15 additional occupations pending approval in cybersecurity, business, healthcare, and social services, with more continually being developed and submitted as the need arises. Our support is directly connected to working with the community colleges, and we're excited to partner with Dr. Connor on implementing one or several of these occupations. Next slide.
This partnership is also a strong strategic move for Calbright. It connects us with a large and growing network of employers across the state. It allows us to scale quickly by building on existing apprenticeship systems, and it connects our student outcomes with wages and career advancement, which is where we want to be focused. This is about impact. It's not just about helping students enroll, but it's helping them to move into stable, well-paying careers. Next slide, please. And then with that, I will say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll take board comment. Trustee Haynes.
So, what is it? Almost 7 years ago when we started this this experiment, one of the biggest hurdles was this: how do we get our students into the jobs that we were trying to create and that were being created? And it was a difficult one because apprenticeships it is a doorway to getting the job. And so I think we've successfully overcome that rock, and we're moving it in the right direction on behalf of our students. So to see Launch in this way opens a real door for our students to really get the experience and potentially to get the job, because that's what this has all been about. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pam, I spot on, and sorry, Trustee Haynes, spot on, and also I would say what is really exciting about partnerships like this are that they're infrastructure-based partnerships. So it is also connecting to the current network of available apprenticeship opportunities as they exist today. But as we're looking at what's happening in terms of the gap that we have to fill, which is the work experience gap, and the need for opportunities to increasingly be sponsored for or paid opportunities, that is the direction that we're moving in. So often the conversation we had many years ago was, which model would we expand and invest in scale? And so apprenticeship was a model. But what's evolving in that continuum in work-based learning is whether it is micro internship, externship, apprenticeship, these are all varying degrees of getting towards the same end, which is moving somebody closer to reliable job opportunities. So I think like this is a high bar in terms of apprenticeship and registered apprenticeship specifically, but this area of apprenticeship as well as the rest of the strategies on the work-based learning continuum, we're going to see those continuously evolve. So by embedding our partnership with Launch at this phase, excited about what it'll make available to our students today, but most excited about what we can do with Launch to build what comes next, to get at the heart of that, to bridge that work experience gap, especially as people are needing to shift industries to upskill, to reskill, or to skill for the first time.
And if I could just add to that, given our population of students, women, students of color, across the state, it's not just sort of regional. It ultimately is regional, but our reach is across the state, and that is extremely powerful. So thank you.
Trustee Villavicencio, then Trustee Melgar.
I just, by the way, very excited about this program, and the fact that our students are getting paid while taking classes is, I think, absolutely a game changer. I was curious if these apprenticeships, are they virtual remote apprenticeships, in-person internships? Are they a combination of both? Because I'm really concerned about students in our rural colleges, or those students who are not close to industry, right? How are we addressing, obviously, those distance issues? Just want to know a little bit more about, again, the equity issue here, and making sure that every student has an opportunity to participate in the program. Thank you.
Yeah, I can go ahead and start, and then Dr. Connor, if you have anything to add. So when it comes to the registered apprenticeship, it can be remote or in-person work. What we would want to do is ensure that they're getting the mentorship while on the job, so that they're learning those skills and gaining those competencies during the program. But it is and can be varied.
And we are working in particular with NextGen to look at how we can better serve our rural communities with apprenticeship as well.
And I will say the space that we entered into on micro internships, the work that we did with HubSpot, the work that we are doing continuously with Ripen, those are additional types of opportunities that have no limitations in terms of reach, because it's leveraging an online work-based learning platform. So kind of, I keep speaking of the work-based learning continuum and the way to accumulate job experiences that brings a student closer to their goals, which is that job outcome. Those types of opportunities are particularly powerful in rural communities. So thinking about apprenticeship expansion, absolutely, and also looking at different doses and availability of opportunities that provide that real-world work experience opportunity for folks in all corners of the state.
Just want to just highlight again that partnership with the California Community College Foundation and the role that they're now playing. I'm just excited to see all of these partnerships, even within our system, are coalescing, and that's where we need to go. So again, very excited to see the impact. Thank you.
Trustee Melgar, then Trustee Brown.
Yeah, thank you. I'm newer to the board, and so every time I read the agenda, I learn about a new program, and Launch is one of these programs, and so super fascinating to hear about it, and thank you for the presentation. And agree, just kind of echoing kind of the focus on rural and kind of other underserved parts of the state. Thank you all for focusing on the Inland Empire. Obviously, it's where I call home, and I think it's important that we get attention there. And it reminds me, I spent the last 5 years on the California Volunteers Board, and a lot of folks hear about College Corps, which is a fabulous program. But one of the programs that we also helped launch was a Youth Service Corps, which gets maybe not as much attention, but that is also looking at how do you train community college students, UC students, CSU students, and others with real-world experience. And so I think the model that you all are talking about today is really impressive, and I think what's most impressive is it's a good example of how partnerships work. Just really impressed to see how you're bringing government to the table, the system, but also different folks, different businesses based in community. So just want to give you all kudos for the work you're doing on this. It's fabulous.
Trustee Brown.
Thank you.
So on March 19th, I went to the Vision 2030 apprenticeship convening. I thought I was just attending, but apparently I had to do the first 5 minutes of opening remarks, which is fine. I'm a career counselor. I'm very passionate about apprenticeships. I shared a little bit about how it's an ancient practice, right, before any of these institutions existed, but I think it's one that we're going back to, similar to how now, to avoid some of the troubles with AI, some of our faculty are going back to handwritten work and things like that. One of the things I spoke about in my opening remarks was how important it is for student motivation that they get these experiences where they get to try something. Even if they try it and figure out that's not for me, that is still powerful because it helps them clarify their goals and helps them stay motivated on the path. So this is really exciting to me and really important. And I was really impressed when I did hear some of our Chancellor's Office staff explaining that we have a system-wide goal of 500,000 apprenticeships, which is amazing and would only be made possible by partnerships that are being demonstrated like this one today. Because I think the nationwide goal is 1 million, so California is trying to take half. I also found it interesting that we have gosh, I'm trying to remember how many students. We have so many community college students compared to the nation. Like we have so much opportunity. So I'm curious, prior to the partnership, who was Launch's target audience? Were you also working with K-12 or were you only working with adults? Who were you going for before, or was it already an aligned audience group that you were targeting? And if you could just share a little more about that. Thanks.
Absolutely. And also, I did very much appreciate your comments on that first day of the convening last week, too. So Launch actually started as a strong workforce project for the Inland Empire Desert Regional Consortium. And our target audience was always to connect with the community colleges and provide that streamlined and administrative process and support to the community colleges as they implement their registered apprenticeship programs. And so as we moved over to the foundation in 2023, and from there, that's where we did expand from the Inland Empire to start working across the state. And we also expanded our support to working with K-12 partners. Employers were always part of the equation because of that integrated connection with apprenticeship and requirement of employment. But our target audience has always been, how can we help support the community colleges in their journey of setting up apprenticeship programs?
Wonderful. The only thing I'll add is that I think with the pace of change and the rate, the number of times in which we have to pivot, we can't do this sequential learning anymore, where we're in the classroom or where we're learning online and then we have to spend additional time getting that internship or that apprenticeship. Our time has to be really multi-purpose and not multitasking. So I appreciate how we are coming at it from every angle. You have internships with Ripen, you have apprenticeships with Launch. You are coming at it from every single possible angle to give our students the best chance of success with getting a job. So I just wanted to say thank you, and this is wonderful news to celebrate. All right, thank you very much to Director Weaver and Dr. Connor. Let's move on to item 5.3 now. Item 5.3 is Competency Based Education Network Quality Assurance Review Pilot, and I will pass that one over to Dr. McCarty, our VP of Learning and Instruction.
Oh, President Aguinaldo, we need to ask for public comment.
Just kidding. A little too excitable here. Any public comment?
There is no public comment.
All right, that was easy. Let's go back to 5.3 then. Dr. McCarty, are you with us?
I am. Good morning,
Good morning.
President Aquinato, Vice President Perry. I'm Shannon McCarty, Vice President of Learning and Instruction. And today I'm actually joined, and I'll provide a further introduction by Amber Garrison Duncan, who's the Executive Vice President of CBIN. But I wanted to take just a moment to kind of highlight the work that Calbright did with the CBIN Quality Assurance Pilot. And then I want to make sure that I have plenty of time for Amber to talk about the work that they are doing at CBIN and kind of how Calbright is playing a role, but what they look forward to and kind of at a national scale with their efforts. So during fall of 2025, we did participate in CBIN's Qual Assurance Pilot. And it is a framework that provides external, expert-led validation of competency-based education programs. And really what it does is establish a trust signal. And it's very important for learners, employers, accreditors, and even state agency that this program meets, or any program, that's a CBE program, meets rigorous standards of quality. And it evaluates kind of three core pillars: competencies, assessment, and program design. And next slide, please. So Calbright's Learning Innovation Team, led by our curriculum and assessment faculty, completed the comprehensive QA review documenting competency transparency and alignment to workforce standards, assessment validation processes, program design elements supporting mastery and progression. Calbright provided real-world testing of how the framework applies at scale. And we were able to provide feedback on clarifying language around assessment validation, strengthening evidence requirements tied to learner progression, and ensuring applicability to direct assessment models at scale. And we're really excited to be invited to participate in this. We think it reflects kind of the maturity of our model and also really gave us an opportunity to contribute to the field while validating our own practices. Next slide, please. So rather than being additive work, the pilot really allowed us to examine our programs through a different national lens, one focused specifically on competency-based education quality. And what we found is the process reinforced the high quality CBE requires clearly articulated and measurable competencies, authentic assessments demonstrating applied mastery, and structured progression models that support learning agency. And an external peer review strengthens institutional credibility with accreditors, employers, and state policymakers. And something else that's an added value is really thinking about the future credit and competency transfer pathways, which I think aligns very closely with Calbright's commitment to stackability and portability. But most importantly, the pilot affirmed that rigorous quality assurance is essential to ensuring CBE credentials remain trusted signals of value in the labor market. Next slide, please. One of the things that we loved is that the CBIN framework prioritizes evidence. It's not seat time, it's not attention, it's actual evidence. And institutions are asked to show how industry needs inform competencies, how those competencies connect to learning outcomes, and how assessments allow students to demonstrate what they can actually do. And this, thank goodness, aligns closely with how Calbright already defines rigor in CBE. Next slide, please. So the feedback that we received from CBIN was affirming across all areas of the framework. And this pilot really offered something important: external confirmation that Calbright is doing what competency-based education is meant to do, serve working learners with rigor and integrity. It reinforced that our model is not only sound, but scalable and defensible. Next slide, please. And with that, it is my great pleasure to welcome back Amber Garrison Duncan. She's the Executive Vice President and Chief Growth and Systems Transformation Officer from CBIN. Amber has led work in competency-based education, learning frameworks, assessments, credential recognition, digital learning records, and open data standards, as well as quality assurance. She's back today to speak why the framework was developed and why it signals the broader higher education community about the integrity and value of CBE. Amber, take it away.
Wonderful. Well, hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. My microphone's been a little off, but hopefully it's coming through. But it's a
We can hear
pleasure to
you.
be Wonderful, thank you. And thank you for the invitation to speak with you all again. It's such an honor to be able to partner with Calbright in the ways that Dr. McCartney just described, and would love to share with you a little bit more about, again, as where this program came from, where we're headed, and some of the next steps and ways that we anticipate continuing this wonderful partnership. And so on the next slide, you can start to see a little bit of what this moment is providing to us around the skills first education, competency based education. We are finding that people are merging those terms up, but really what they mean are that people have skills and competencies that are validated by employers. We use that to structure learning and we make sure that there's evidence of that learning. So again, very simply stated, but when you think about where you would go for that quality assurance signal, traditional accreditation models do not fit our needs. They are not as overemphasizing, again, the learning process, and there are a lot of things focused on inputs rather than focusing on what's the actual outcomes for learners and employers. And so that's where Qualsurance emerged as a opportunity for CBEN and for our community to start to define that. And so on, if someone could click the next slide, I don't know if I have the ability to do that. Yeah, that really, as we know, credentials aren't enough. We're hearing more and more from employers that they really want the validated skills and they want to be able to move away from the containers that we are thinking about, not less about how the learning happens and where it happened, but more again about what do people know, what can they do, and understanding that CBE models will vary widely. You were just talking about apprenticeships. There are CBE apprenticeships, there's CBE certificates, there's CBE programs. So we're really trying to figure out a way to just talk about quality in the sense of CBE models, regardless of, again, the types of credentials they're being deployed for. And as we're doing all of this innovating, the stakes are higher than ever, right? And you all know this and feel this, is that learners, employers, and policymakers, without some kind of consistent quality standard about the skills, are really struggling to figure out, what do we pay for? What do we direct our populations and residents to? And then also employers saying, I just, again, I just want the skills. I don't really care what container it's in. I just want to know these folks are ready for the job. And we want to use those skills and that evidence of skill for hiring to expand their candidate pools. And so this is a conversation that we are in daily, is how do we give trust to these models and to what's happening. Again, as you know, to hundreds of institutions that are now adopting competency-based approaches. We see this from K-12 to gray, is what I'd like to say, is we are now expanded. CBEN's community includes, again, K-12 entities, workforce entities, apprenticeship models. So as this growth is happening, again, CBEN's focus has always been on trust and innovation and quality. So how do we start to move that forward? So if someone can hit, there's a little animation that's going to start. If you could just click that real quick. Right. The question isn't whether we measure skills, but really, again, how do we do it credibly and how do we scale a system and think about new quality assurance models that really do honor the hard work that we're doing to be clear about skills, that evidence, and outcomes. And so that's again, where Qualsurance comes from. We did a pilot with institutions. And so the next slide will tell you a little bit about where Qualsurance is going. We decided to formally launch after the pilot because we had a lot of good feedback from the field that this was a valuable process to go through from a quality improvement standpoint, but also, again, for that signal of quality that students were telling us, again, programs were telling us, employers were telling us, this is something we want. It's wild to me that we put this out at CB Exchange in November, and we're able to secure a FIPSI grant in January to be able to officially launch this as an accreditor. And so within 4 years, we will be launched out, and Qualsurance will spin out from CBEN and be a formal accreditor recognized by the Department of Education. And so our goals over the next, over that time period, is to just continue to codify the quality standards that you heard Shannon talk about. We are now seeing, again, implemented across all different types of learning programs. So Calbright's going to be in the same name as SHRM and their certificates, and industry associations like manufacturing, as well as all of our degree programs. So again, really starting to signal a quality way that we just think about the learning, the skills, And so, what are those cross sector quality standards that we all agree are important? We're going to validate program quality and our ability to be a quality assurance entity. We're going to build the employer and policy confidence that we need over the next couple of years to continue to grow this. And then again, have a continuous feedback loop. We want to model as assurance what institutions and organizations should be doing themselves. So this isn't a sit and one and done every 5-10 years. This should be a continuous improvement process, especially given the way that the labor market is so dynamic. We want to make sure that the entities we are working with to quality assure their program have a way to continuously engage, and that we have a way to continuously engage in a feedback loop as our ecosystem continues to change. And so that's what the work will be over the next 4 years. And what do these designations look like today is that we start with, this is a big shift for quality assurance, given everything I just shared with you, is that we're really focused on outcomes. And so while our early framework focused on program design, which is important, we definitely want to get into the assessments. Are those competencies clear? Were they validated by employers? And then that last top tier of one is program success. And this is where it will really start to meet some of the requirements that are coming out for workforce Pell and other places that states are starting to require these records of program success. Our idea is that if you have qual assurance with distinction, that becomes recognized as a credential of value that would qualify programs for a workforce Pell or a state credential value criteria, or something that an industry is requiring. And so that's how we're building this forward, is to be able to give programs that kind of quality assurance and trust signal that we know governance and accreditation programs are going to be headed for. And so we're trying to get ahead of that and be ready within 2 to 3 years to provide that quality signal. And so what does this mean for, again, our partnership and our collaboration together? And on the next slide, it's, you all are being our first. It's a strategic advantage. One, being able to say, we're not just helping to change the game around CBE, but we're helping to change the systems that allow CBE to scale. And I think it gives you a differentiated credibility as a founding participant that, earning this qual assurance recognition ahead of the field, signaling to employers, learners, and policymakers that your programs meet the highest standard for CBE quality is something that I would encourage you to run with and shout from the rooftops, because we keep hearing from, especially policymakers, saying, we really like those outcomes and we want to make sure we're paying for those outcomes. And that is going to give you a room to step up and say, we do this with quality. We already have this distinction. It also allows you to continue to help us shape these standards. And hopefully in doing that, we're also helping you meet new partners. I loved all the partnership that I got to see in the little snippet while we were waiting for this session. But thinking about how your cross-sector and partners, you get to be a part of a community that's shaping the future of quality assurance in this country, and what we think is important for all our constituents. And again, strengthening those employer partnerships. As a result of this work, we should all be building talent pipelines with employers. And that is where we want to make sure we're, again, reducing that friction, making sure employers understand that the candidates they want to hire using skills-based hiring practices, if they're hiring from programs that have a qual assurance designation, they can trust those skills. Those skills have been verified and be legally defensible for making the judgments they're making in skills-based talent management processes. And that's a biggest thing that we hear from the employer community, is that they want to do more skills-based hiring, but they can't trust the signal right now. So again, that's where qual assurance and Calbright being a big leader in that will continue to set the pace and just advance your mission at scale. I think this is where, again, finding those legible, verifiable, and scalable programs and making sure that you have good signals so that you can continue to get funding and support for the great work you're doing. And then just the next slide is, I wish I could kind of share, or would love to share with you a little bit of, I spent a lot of time on the road in these skills-based conversations, and there is so much policy momentum. And this is really, truly what I'm finding is just a consistent bipartisan issue, is that federal policymakers, state policymakers from all spectrums of governance we see it with our territories, our tribal nations. We are all trying to focus on a way to shift to skills-based and credential transparency. And so again, qual assurance will prepare you to lead in that. And then again, employer demand just gives you a unique position to use Qualsurance to continue to position with employers, and then just certainly our network and our reach of being able to make sure that you're visible in this growing ecosystem. And so Qualsurance, again, on the next slide, you could just see our new logo. We're really excited about it, but it's really giving that trust signal of saying these programs have skills that have been validated by employers. They deliver on the outcomes for employers and for learners. And we want to be able to bring this across any type of learning program that's happening so that we can help people find mobility. And that's where Qualsurance is going. So I'd love to, if there's any questions or things that I can be helpful in answering, always here for you, and happy to entertain those.
Great. Thank you very much to the both of you. Do we have any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Villavicencio?
Maybe this is just for President Menon, but all of this is obviously connected to credit for prior learning, career passport, master plan for career education, right? And obviously aligned with Vision 2030. So is that the plan is to create the standardization, making sure that, again, the skills that are being taught or students are competent in it? Is this going to be a model that you intend to scale up, be a model for a system?
I'll answer it a couple ways, which is, one, I think that will be the knock-on benefits for a lot of these efforts to ensure that there's a little bit of market discipline when we're talking about what does it mean to have a high-quality skills-based program. So that is not just true for California, that is true kind of nationally. I think that's really important for a couple of reasons. Our institutions, whether in California and otherwise, are often accredited by a regional or national accreditor, which Dr. Garrison Duncan pointed out. This is a very complementary quality assurance process relative to what has traditionally been measured and focused on in the regular course of accreditation. That is much more aligned with the designed outcome of what we're trying to do as an institution, what a number of other institutions are doing across the country, which is not just to think about credentials and completions, but to think about, does this actually service or add value into what a learner experiences in entering the labor market? So it is measuring actually the inputs and the process design towards that quality outcome. And so I will say, like, it's quite differentiated in that way. So absolutely, it should influence all of the work that we think about when we are thinking about either building new resources or platforms or a better alignment across education and workforce demand, lining up education and workforce demand. And I think this is because it is a sort of voluntary it's voluntary participation on the part of institutions, increasingly institutions who are interested in differentiating themselves on the basis of this kind of quality and in measurement and service of the outcomes that are labor market outcomes. I think this becomes a fit. So I would say this is an important door opener for folks who are headed in this direction to provide that kind of distinction. And then the other thing I would say, which is really important, is we are increasingly experiencing aspects of deregulation in the higher education marketplace as it relates particularly to new models and new approaches. And on the one hand, that's positive because it creates a space for innovation to happen. It also allows for a proliferation of providers trying all types of creative and new things. But without discipline around quality assurance, we have no way of knowing whether the new things that are being created are actually adding value or whether they are producing something else into the labor market. And we have had hard experiences with this in the federal financial aid programs, hard experiences with this in the state of California. And so, the kind of market discipline that it provides to have high standards and direct measurement of what an institution is doing to advance learning in ways that are relevant to employers, and especially if that is the mission of your institution like it is for us, that becomes extraordinarily important for the discipline of the higher ed marketplace overall. And I think, Dr. Garrison Duncan talked about this, but, in the conversations we've been having federally as we look to things like Workforce Pell and what is happening in the accreditation world overall, it's not just enough to focus on outcomes and to measure that summative. It is critically important that institutions have a reliable path to improve to get there. So, when we talk about this work or when we talk about our work and when we talk about what we're measuring, right, not just industry traditional workforce metrics like placement in field, but really trying to understand, does the value of our program allow someone to enhance their wage earnings, which it does here, which it does in the measurement of our programs, but also does it allow them to ensure a place in the employment market, especially as we train people for folks that are not just a single occupation, but different types of job roles within, our for example, our project management certification. It's not just about a single industry. It is about this type of skills that are needed across multiple different industries and range of motion. And so if we are able to see students employed in a variety of different fields, that is an important measure of institutional accountability, but it has to be measured in that way. So all of these things are very reinforcing. The particular power of this work, though, is to ensure that we have standards around quality that are comparable across programs, across institutions, for a model that is skills-based.
Just, again, want to commend this work, and seeing Calbright lead the way is wonderful to see. Thank you.
I just want to thank Dr. Garrison Duncan. Many of you know, and I've mentioned before, I recently had the opportunity last spring to join the Competency-Based Education Network National Board. And so part of my efforts and work to support this work on the board level is really about that national conversation that we're seeing, and is really about what we want to ensure protects students and taxpayers with respect to where higher ed is going next.
It's really phenomenal work. Thank you again, Dr. Garrison Duncan, Dr. McCarty. Thank you very much. Terry, I want to ask you if there are any public comments.
There is no public comment.
Okay, then. Let's move to item 5.4, Student Journey 2.0 Update Dynamic Journey Map. That one I'll pass to our Vice President of Student Success and Services, Don Orth.
Great. Good morning, President Aguinaldo, Vice President Perry, and Board of Trustees. I'm Don Orth, Vice President of Student Services and Success. Really excited to share with you today an update on the Student Journey 2.0, and specifically the Dynamic Journey Map. Just a reminder for folks who are new or don't remember, the Student Journey 2.0 is really an effort to improve the student journey and the support experience, reduce stopouts, increase completion, and really just, again, make the experience better for students. Each element of the journey that we're working on addresses some aspect of this goal. And today, specifically, I'll be sharing about a new element called the Dynamic Journey Map. There is a lot. Student Journey 2.0, there is a lot of intricate parts and pieces. So just to kind of give you the big overall picture, this is what it looks like. You'll see some of the language in green. Journey Starter we built already, and I'll just address that. And the Dynamic Journey Map is right here in the process, really at the beginning of the learning journey. So that's what we're going to focus on today. The need really comes about from what we learned about the pace and progress timelines, that self-paced learning provides a lot of freedom, but students really still need some kind of structure in that flexibility. They also need to know where they are and where they're going, and ideally all of these things should be in one place, so they kind of have a navigation panel of where they're going and where they need to and what they've done. So if you remember, pace and progress timelines were super successful, and we saw increased persistence from providing this structure, but the format of them was limited. They were static, sent by email. They outlined competencies, the bigger competencies, not the individual work. There was limited visibility to how the journey map was shared, and to make any kind of changes was a real manual process. The new dynamic journey map that I'm going to dig into today is dynamic in real time. It provides a lot of extra information that we think will help students. There's visibility for students and staff, and the changing kind of the timelines are there's more power to the student. So I'm going to jump into demo. Give me a second while I switch screens. And here we go. Okay. Let me just make sure I can share that. Okay, can you see that screen? Yes, you can. Great. Okay, so let's jump in. This is really kind of what I'd like to spend time on today. We started building the dynamic journey map really based on the pace and progress timelines. And like I mentioned, those timelines were static. And we really saw, because they were so powerful, a need to improve that experience. So just a reminder that this is what the student portal used to look like. Students can see their progress, but there's not a whole lot of detail. And the other thing you may or may not notice is that it is beautiful, but it lacks direction and context to drive action. There's a lot of stuff going on, but there's not really a lot of kind of affordance of student action. Like what's required to reach the next milestone, when are milestones due, whether as a student I'm ahead or behind or on track, and what competencies need attention. So the first thing to remember is that the Journey Starter, which is kind of the first component of Student Journey 2.0, collects information about students' needs, goals, and also availability. And it also provides outputs a student journey map and a level of need that a student needs. And that really helps us as staff and faculty understand where best we can support students. So that's a critical piece to remember, that that journey starter is really the beginning of getting insights about our student and creating more tools for them to navigate. This is the new portal with the dynamic journey map embedded. It gives us visibility into kind of a more detailed view of where the student is going. You'll notice that there's colors and icons that communicate status instantly. We see that Mariah has completed milestone 2, but she's currently behind in she's completed milestone 1, but she's currently behind in milestone 2. The red exclamation mark here shows that she has completed a competency that didn't pass, and that is something she'd need to revisit. This little sapling here in the upper left is a kind of visual representation of where she is. This indicates that she's a little behind, and there's a key to that I'll show you soon. So looking at this, by clicking Journey Map, she can zoom out, and this is really where the magic is. This, you can see, kind of gives a student a view of the whole picture of their journey, where they are, what they've done, where they're going, what needs attention. So there's a lot here and there's room to grow, but this is the first important piece, a map of the experience itself. This provides visibility, where they are, what they've done, and what they have to do. This new functionality that I'll walk into will also provide flexibility and autonomy. There's new capabilities that allow students to more directly control their pacing. And this also creates better connection with students to faculty and staff, and also faculty and staff coordinating support together. So she understands that she's behind and wants to adjust her time. From the screen, with a couple clicks, Mariah can add a grace period to her timeline, and all these changes happen in real time. She can also request a timeline change, which is automatically submitted to the persistence team, who review the request and grant Mariah a timeline change. The main thing here is to remember that this is not just an automated kind of self-service process, but brings in the human in the loop in just the right times. So let's see how this works. I'm going to close this screen. So here, Mariah can see that she's behind, but what competency or modules are making her fall behind, so she can address them. But first, she decides she wants to get on track. So she clicks this little question mark here, and it gives her some options. It explains the timeline she's on and gives her some other options to change. She clicks on the question mark and then decides to choose the second option, request for a grace period. This gives her some options, how much time she needs to catch up. She chooses the second option. And now you'll see automatically this icon changes to being on track. She is not behind in milestone 2, and the date changes for the next time she has to complete. So that's fine. But now she wants to decide. She decides some things come up in her life, and she decides that she needs a longer timeline that's more suitable for her availability right now. So she clicks that mark again and decides to change the plan. She can see what other timelines are available, and by clicking sample plan, she'll be able to see the whole map. she decides to take 365 option. And now that timeline changes request, it's on its way, and it's submitted successfully, as you can see in the dialog box, and that goes to our all-star persistence team. So now we move to the staff portal side. So that was kind of the student interface. And now on the staff and faculty side, they have some new tools to help them assist students in managing their journey. So if you scroll down, this is kind of the dashboard for faculty and staff right now, kind of managing student behavior and support. The staff member persistence team typically goes to change pace timeline. They are able to indicate if they've heard from a student what the reason for the request is, and then they can submit that. And now you'll see here in the upper right that the PACE timeline has changed successfully. That has replaced what previously happened was a lot of arduous manual steps, and now with a simple click, they can change the timeline and redraw the journey map. And we can also see the view of the journey from here, from the staff portal. So now we have students being able to see this, staff and faculty being able to see this, and kind of that alignment around that support. Just a reminder, if folks don't remember, the old journey map looked like this. This was a PDF that we sent to students once every week or every 2 weeks. It gave them a sense of what they had to do, but it was very static. And also didn't give visibility into those details of specific competencies or work. And now kind of this new view, dynamic and interactable and kind of empowering students to manage some of their journey by themselves, this is what we've got. So before I go into questions, and I'll shift back to the deck in a second, I do want to recognize the incredible cross-functional work it took to build this new capability that really enables more agency for students to control their time and their work at Calbright. It creates new opportunities for faculty and staff to work together and coordinate support. And here's the thing, while this journey map seems very simple, right? That really beautiful interface, that map of where a student is, and it is simple by design, the infrastructure behind this that drives this is significant and will continue to open more doors in how we empower students. So I do want to recognize the incredible leadership of the persistence team for bringing their insights and thoughts to their design, the technology team for their thorough student-centered approach and attention to creating the best possible experience, the L&I team and specifically faculty for their feedback, and they will continue to help design this going forward. Our incredible project managers who do incredible work keeping us on track and helping us deliver these really powerful tools. And also the folks on the ground working with students every day whose insights and engagement help us keep students at the center of the work. And of course, the students themselves whose commitment and engagement continue to shape what Calbright is and how it serves our community. So I'm going to shift back and you should be able to see this thing, and I'll just mention a couple other things. Are we seeing the right screen here, hopefully? So there's more coming, right? So we're working on some support in the front end, program navigator, and an asynchronous orientation that we think will really support our students even better. And there's a lot to this, but we are kind of taking this one bite at a time, and every time we make an improvement to the journey, we really see impact. Okay, so with that, I'd love to open it up for questions and see, kind of get any kind of feedback or thoughts or ideas.
Thank you very much, Don, for your presentation. Trustee Haynes has a question, comment?
Yeah.
So this is absolutely wonderful. And I'm just going to put this out. Probably there's not an answer yet to the question, and it is and it's really on the last market that step by step in helping students actually define how they are interacting relative to their time, relative to what's happening in their lives is just critically important. And so to have this mapped out in a way that's user friendly, and it adds to their success because they have some control over their life journey. But the question, ultimately, the question will be, this is being designed in a computer setting where you go in and you do all of these things. Is there a difference between those who are younger and more adept to those who are older? I'm not going to use myself as an example because I'm really old, but I can see it being very helpful for those who are younger, more adept at answering questions in this way and having and knowing their lives in this way that it's successful. But there may be those who don't use it as it should be used and could be used because they're just not used to doing it that way.
And I don't have an exact answer for you, but I can address a little bit. And I think you're talking about kind of comfort with digital tools and this
Yeah.
kind of digital management. And yeah, I think that is a fair question, which is why we constantly go to our students for feedback. Who is this serving well? Where are the places that we can add value or adapt to address kind of the various needs? But the truth is, our students are in a digital environment here at Calbright, and it's part of our job to help enable and kind of grow their digital literacy. And we know that is an important piece to the puzzle. And so it's something that we are addressing throughout the journey. Certainly, it's something we identify. I mentioned the journey starter in the beginning. One of the things that captures is the digital literacy of our students coming in. And if we see that there needs to be growth there, we will focus on that early because students do need to navigate a digital world. I mean, that is the truth of it now, and it's more important than ever. And so it is our job to build that scaffolding to help them use these tools and feel good about managing their life and their work at Calbright kind of together in this space.
And I would just add this. The time management piece is challenging for us all, regardless of whether you're technology literate or not. And so just the idea of, oh, now I've got to explain this in this environment. My life is crazy, and trying to do that. So I'm really looking forward to the data that we're collecting relative to our students so that we can really apply it in a really positive way, and then help to create the instruments that will help that craziness because it's not getting any easier for those of us in the real world.
For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Trustee Brown.
So first, I'd like to say thank you for such thoughtful progress on this, especially keeping in mind the workflow for the employees so that they can focus their efforts on actually working with students and not clicking 12 times to get one thing done. I have two things I'm wondering about. I really like that it's very dynamic and colorful, but I'm wondering because when you showed that sort of comparison of what it used to look like when it was static versus how it looks now, I find that in the name of accessibility, some people are going back to things that look sort of like your static example, and it just doesn't seem like it's really, it's trying to aim for universal design. How do we aim for universal design so that someone who's using a screen reader can use this, but also someone who has ADHD can stay focused, right? And actually follow along, right? So sometimes we need the colorfulness, sometimes we need the high contrast, sometimes, right? It's just so many different things to think about. So that's my first question is sort of like, what are the accessibility considerations with the new tool? My second one, I'm thinking about when I'm using Duolingo, and the little owl used to sort of harass me, I would just ignore it. But they changed it to now where there's this sort of social connection piece, and instead of it being the owl, it's the name of a friend of mine. Hey, so-and-so did their lesson already today. Are you going to do yours? And that hits different. So I'm curious if there's a nudges aspect to this and what that looks like. So if you could speak to accessibility and nudges, that'd be great.
Yeah, those are great questions. The first thing I'll say is that all the things we build on our portal do kind of hit accessibility standards. So that is something that we look at and we build around from the ground up. So we are constantly looking to improve. We're not just, comfortable with meeting the standards, but we want kind of the highest standards for sure. So that is something we actively design first around, and then we will kind of evaluate, like look more deeply about how this works with screen readers. And we do that testing up front, but we always want it to be better. So that is totally appreciate that comment. And we're constantly looking to improve. That does export as a PDF, so you can do that and have it static on your desktop or print it out or however in other ways that you can use it. So that continues to be something we evolve and work on. So it's a great question. In terms of nudges, we have built, like I mentioned, kind of the interface is fairly simple, although you're right, colors and things may be a little distracting, so we will fine tune that as we see what's useful. Um, the nudges piece is part of the infrastructure that we can build in. So we don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet, but we have lots of ideas. This is, again, what you have seen as an MVP is the first kind of version of this. But we have big plans for how we can build in kind of nudges and connections with potential peers and things like that. So I love the thinking. We're thinking about that too. And
And
definitely something you'll see down the road.
And also, over the past few years, that work that we've been embedding in terms of capability building around behavioral design, it's not a spaghetti throwing at the wall kind of, we're big planning, figuring it out. All of those lessons that have helped us understand more about not just what supports, but what can motivate or scaffold students, leveraging those behavioral insights from real students and interactions with real students. Like, that's the process design method for introducing the baseline of what might work best next, in that cycle of continuous improvement that we're in. So I feel like the muscles are strong in regard to what feel like limitless opportunities to continue to evolve this.
Great. Trustee Williams.
Yeah, I really appreciate the fact that you all are always tinkering with it, because sometimes when I see it, I have questions. It seems like you're already ahead and coming back and like, oh, okay, like we're without even asking the question. So I appreciate how it's dynamic. And because I had the same question about like intrusive counseling and what the philosophy is in the college. Because as an employer, I want to know, like, well, who's a procrastinator? Because you actually have that data. Like, if someone extends 365 days a lot, then like from the quality assurance, like I'm not hiring them, and so you get what I'm saying. It's like that whole idea of the completion agenda, and I'm still, getting used to CBE, but like, what is the persistence rate, and then the like how long is time to completion for folks? Because it makes me start thinking about when we start getting into financial aid and all of those things in the future. If someone continues to extend and extend, what impacts is that going to have if they have a scholarship, or if they are starting to collect financial aid and all of those things? Like, how do we adjust for that reality? Because the expectation is that you master the skill in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I can address this a little bit. All of this is designed, kind of Student Journey 2.0 is designed to reduce stopouts and increase the pace of persistence. So each step we build is kind of designed around that. So how do we understand Journey Starter? How do we understand the students' needs and goals really well so that we can offer scaffolding to support them better, right? If a student has low digital literacy or has kind of is a language learner, how can we build that up front so they have what they need to persist? The other piece that's really important and building nudges in and more ways to keep them on track is really important for us, because we know that students that keep momentum and stay engaged and check in every day, they do better than folks who just check in once every couple weeks, right? The other thing we are building, aside from this kind of technology backbone, is different ways for our counselors and support staff and faculty to engage, right? And more specifically, what we also know, it's better when we have better insights on our student and know what they need, right? If we just say, hey, if anybody needs help, come contact us, contact a counselor, contact a faculty, that is less effective than saying, hey, it looks like you're struggling with this thing here. we have an idea of how we can help or offer a resource or a connection or a hey, meet with. So we are getting better about knowing individual student needs and really offering very relevant support to keep them moving along. And that is a challenge, but it's something we are laser focused on, building these systems and that human in the loop connection. How do we work together to really support every single student in the way they need it most?
And then maybe I'll add one more thing, because you're right. What it sometimes can, that flexibility can come up with a confrontation around, is around existing systems design pieces around financial aid and other things like that. This opportunity with things like short-term Pell and some of these workforce Pell, whatever you want to call it, and some of these pathways, is that there might be hardline parameters around duration that are forced by compliance. And, we want to know that if we have to adjust to that, to allow our students to have opportunities, to have resourcing in order to better move on their progress and pace timelines and those sorts of things, that we can dial it for a student in a way that is respectful of the flexibility that we want them to be able to have, and that they tell us they need to be able to make the opportunity possible. So this precision of the way that it is designed also is important, because hardline compliance requirements might come down the pike as federal financial aid or state financial aid, any of those things tighten from a resource perspective. But the most important value of what we do and what our learners tell us is most important is maintaining that flexibility. So how, within the purpose of that objective, do we balance some of these kinds of compliance requirements while also saying that a student who started, in your community in March and finished in 6 months is just as much of a success story as somebody who finished in Member Legrand's part of the state, finished in 18 months, but took intentional breaks along the way instead of hard off ramps, which left them just without credential, without the skills, or without the prospects of continued progress in their lives and career journeys. So we are, that tension of what policymakers need to be able to understand about the real live ways that people experience and can navigate educational opportunities and work opportunities, that is a continuous learning curve that we spend a lot of time educating folks on, and will continue to have to educate folks on as these realities become more acute for people in communities.
Great, thank you very much. Any public comment?
We have one public comment, which is Imani in our audience. Imani?
Come to the podium, please, and speak into the microphone so we can all hear you, and everyone online can hear you as well. Welcome, Imani.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I'll just be brief. It's pressed. Thank you so much. Okay, so just wanted to make a comment on that, because I'm a student at Calbright College and I'm doing a project management program. And we did a qualitative insights assessments with some of our students. And one of the comments that we had was the frustration over the interface use. And this new interface is just working for us. Because most of us, I'm going to say even one of the people who struggled navigating it, because you could finish a certain course and it doesn't show the progress. So, and then you kind of like stay on the same 30%, yet you've gone through so many modules, and there wasn't any progress that you're seeing. But then this at-glance interface that we have right now from the students that some students that we've done a qualitative assessment with, we are kind of like pleased, and we have more engagement now on the platform. So I just want to highlight that new interface is really user friendly, and I will also speak to the older also people, because I've had students that I'm talking to as well. We do have the links as leaders in with the ACC body. We do have links for these students to tell them to book 30 minutes with us, 30 minutes chat with us. And I've had different students who just don't to disclose so much, who some are disabled, they disclose to me, and the older ones, they love the new interface. So it's user-friendly, and I just wanted to really validate that. And also speaking from somebody who has really worked around older people, just having that at a glance from the old version surely was a lot of information overload. And when you just look at it, you just don't know how to navigate it. And if you're kind of like, don't know how to really use technology and stuff, you kind of like shut out and kind of like makes the whole process longer for you. And now these are students who just come in, who just kind of like have that motivation to come in to just have a chance to have these skills or whatever programs that Calbright is offering. So when we kind of like face these user-friendly interfaces, we easily shut out. So I just wanted to give that comment back, and I hope I made a lot of sense around that. And thank you so much. I just wanted to address as a comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dawn, for your presentation. Let's move to item 5.5, our 2026 legislative and budget update. I welcome our VP of Government Relations, Jenny Johnson, to the podium.
Good morning. Is it working? Okay, last time I did. Good morning, President Aguinaldo, Vice President Perry and Board of Trustees, Jenny Johnson, Vice President of Government Relations. I'll be quick today. I'm here to provide an update on our advocacy efforts in the state of California. As a reminder, Governor Newsom's proposed budget includes $38.1 million above our base funding of $15 million, bringing us to $53.1 million with COLA moving forward. And since the release of the proposed budget, it's been a busy time over here with 120 legislators. I'm joined by my team, also Ed Lee, relying on our communications, President Menon, to divide and conquer. And I'm excited to share that we had an excellent Senate Budget Subcommittee hearing last week where President Menon presented on our budget request, and it was a really outstanding meeting. Our conversations have gone deeper to more nuanced conversations about what does this look like in my respective legislative district. And there was a lot of applause for the work we're doing, a lot of probative questions in a very thoughtful way, but a good, solid conversation. So moving past the Senate Budget Sub, where are we right now? Well, our next hearing is the Assembly Budget Subcommittee hearing on education, and that is April 21st. So it's just shy of a month away, and we're actively focusing on our meetings there in preparation, and I wanted to share that with all of you. And let's see, many of you have asked offline about ways in which you can support. We have a really robust group of supporters from business, labor, community health organizations, and what I'd like to do is share that with President Menon so she can disseminate to all of you. My team, we're pretty active up and down the state, but all of you are leaders, and you know organizations that I simply may not know about, and you might say, Jen, you should work with so-and-so, or you need to have a conversation. You know your communities far better than I would, and so I'd like to make that ask, is if you look at the list, if there's folks that I need to talk to, or maybe not for the next budget hearing, but just in general, I depend on your leadership as well. So with that, update on the budget. We're having good conversations, more work to do, but I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Jenny. It's an incredible amount of work. I want to acknowledge that more times than I think is necessary because you are just doing a fantastic job. Any board comments on this?
I second that, Yippee. And I just
Kaye on it.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, to be sitting here and hearing this news is remarkable. That's all I can say. You and your team are just remarkable that we got to this point. So yippee-ki-yay, Yahoo, whatever it takes.
But the work continues, so we can't quite punctuate it with the last ki-yo or whatever comes at the end of that yet, because it's not set in stone yet. So we just have to continue to be cautiously optimistic and keep persisting at our goals.
take anything for granted.
Oh,
We're
your
trying to meet with,
microphone.
we're trying to meet with everyone, and there's a lot of work to do, both after the budget, on how we can engage on a regional level and statewide. So, thank you.
If I can just add, I've also seen a lot of like public education happening and some work in the press, and so I just want to give a shout out to the communications team as well. I think that's important to the point of not counting our eggs before they're hatched. I think educating the public about the journey as we're doing the advocacy is really important. I want to call that out.
The journey is not easy, and it's not set in stone yet, so we just have to keep persisting at that. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the shout out for the comms team. They have been really working hard on working statewide with the media as well. Thank you.
I will second that echo. Perfect. Thank you very much, Jenny. Terry, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you very much. I welcome our CFO, Ed Lee, to the podium. He is on point for the next two items. The first one is 2026-2027 budget process and timeline update. So over to you, Ed.
Great. Thank you, President Aguinaldo, and good timing to follow VP Jenny Johnson, and appreciate working alongside her and her team, as well as with other folks on our budget advocacy work. Good morning, President Aguinaldo, Vice President Perry, President Menon, staff and community. My name is Ed Lee. I'm the Chief Financial Officer here at Calbright College. I'm just going to share a little bit of the high-level budget process and timeline for the upcoming 26-27 fiscal year. So it's really in parallel with the budget ask here. So on the slide, we have just kind of a refresher on Board Policy 6200. I'm not going to go through every bullet point here, but you can see these are the policies that we will be abiding by. Again, highlighting again that the budget is produced with highlighting in prioritization with the college's strategic vision. So yeah, just kind of a refresher on that. Can we go to the next slide, please? Next slide, and then next slide after that, I'm just going to go through, again, pretty high level here on the budget process overview. It's effectively, a big funnel, right? Starting at the top, we have the assumptions. Again, this is information that we have available, including, current year spending, some of the spend patterns that we're seeing this year, personnel assumptions, some non-personnel assumptions, and operating expenses. So working together with other senior leaders, we work to understand what some of the priorities might be for the upcoming year. We also look at different scenarios, as you can imagine, especially during the season. So we're particularly looking at low, base, and high scenarios, depending on some potential outcomes with the budget work that we're doing in parallel. After that, we'll have a kind of a tentative draft budget. We'll go through some adjustments. Sorry, prior slide there, if you could. Still in the funnel. Great, thanks. We'll go through some adjustments to the budget assumptions, and then after that, we'll finalize the budget, and we'll be sharing the budget draft or tentative budget with the board no later than July 1st, and then I think at the August board meeting, we'll also be sharing the final budget. Let's go to the next slide, please. And the next slide after that. So here's just a high-level timeline. If it's helpful, kind of matching some of the funnel, categories there as well. We are in March, so you can see that yellow kind of arrow on the upper left hand, which is talking about the process and the timeline with the board. I will say, not lost on the group here, I'm sure, is, the college has certainly been engaging in different planning scenarios over the last several months. So I would say that this is nothing entirely new, but certainly it's a, kind of the formal budget season, we'll call it. And again, the dates that I mentioned there as well. Draft budget to be shared with the board no later than July 1st, and then, tracking towards August 19th. On the public hearing as well as board adoption. And I think that's all that I have from a high-level timeline and process standpoint. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. CFO Lee, any questions from the board? Hearing none. Terry, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you very much, Terry, and thank you very much, Ed. Let's move to 5.7, reports on contracts and purchases, please.
Yeah, sure. So the reports on contracts and purchases include those from the month of February. For February, we have 2 contracts that you'll see, and then we also have our purchase items, which total approximately $300,000. Happy to take any questions about those items.
Echoing our CFO there, any board discussion? All right, hearing none. Terry, any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. You're off the hook, Ed.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you
you.
for your presentation. Let's move to our constituency group reports. Item 6.1 is the Calbright Academic Senate report, and for that, we welcome Michael Stewart.
Good morning, President Aguinaldo and Calbright board members. My name is Michael Stewart, and I am the Calbright Faculty Academic Senate President. I love all the UPKA comments and all the accolades that the faculty has received today. Thank you very much for that. I will continue on that party train and introduce that the Calbright faculty has continued to demonstrate leadership through curriculum innovation, academic quality, and shared governance as part of the 10+1 responsibilities that we have. So I am here today to highlight the work and success of our curriculum committee. The curriculum committee has approved Calbright's first 4 credit programs, including our information technology support program, our data analysis program, project management, and community health worker programs. In our IT program pathways, our faculty has expanded the 501 and 502, which is our courses, to collectively offer 6 units of college credit, and also has approved a IT fundamentals course outline of record. And this course is designed as an entry-level introduction to information technology. Also, our faculty is actively working to rebuild the IT 501, which is our cybersecurity course, to ensure it aligns with the current industry standards. Faculty also implemented a course challenge exam, enabling students with prior learning experience to demonstrate competency and accelerate their academic progress, which aligns with our CPL. In addition to these instructional achievements, the faculty has continuously provided input and guidance throughout the DEAC accreditation process, ensuring academic integrity, compliance with accreditation standards, and alignment between instructional practices and Calbright's college mission. And as always, Calbright faculty is working hard to support our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Okay, item 6.2 is the Calbright Faculty Association report, and there's no report there. Item 6.3 is the California School Employees Association. For that, we welcome Donna Howard.
Good morning, Board of Trustees. I'm sharing my serious concern about the recent board vote on the proposed reduction in force that could affect 61.5% of Calbright staff. Only 3 of the 16 board members participated in the vote, and none voted no, which raises concerns about the level of engagement and scrutiny applied to the decision with major consequences for our college and its employees. Even if the vote was largely symbolic, the lack of opposition and limited participation is troubling and contributes to anxiety among staff and students. Moving forward, we should ensure fuller board participation and more thorough discussion on decisions that so directly affect the livelihoods and institutional stability. Was the low turnout an oversight, or was there a reason for the limited participation? Why are these important votes only being held in executive session and not with the full board? I encourage every board member to reflect on how they can be more present and engaged in these important deliberations. Greater transparency, dialogue, and care for our community are essential as we navigate this difficult period. I'm continuing to email the board at their Calbright addresses with information classified staff want shared. The last email contained a link to an organizational chart created by the union that mirrors the board-approved reduction in force list. I would appreciate you reviewing the chart to fully understand the ramifications of the recent board vote on student supports available as of July 1st, should the college not receive full funding. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your report, Donna. Item 6.4 is the Associated Students of Calbright College report, and that is going to Imani on behalf of Cole Kindred.
Thank you. Good morning, President Agranado, members of Board of Trustee, Executive Committee, all protocol observed. I'm here to present the ASCC constituency report on behalf of our ASCC President, Carl Kenred. My name is Imani, and I'm honored to continue serving as the 2026 Vice President of Associated Students of Calbright College. I remain grateful for the trust placed in me by the Calbright Students Body and Committee to leading with transparency, structure, and measured students' impact. March has focused on implementation and refinement. Following February's operation alignment, ASCC transitions from planning into execution across key areas of engagement, communication, and leadership development. The Students' Engagement Plan continues to guide our priorities and maintains an active digital engagement initiative, encouraging students to explore Slack channels, discover resources, and increase peer interactions. Engagement monitoring has helped us evaluate which formats generate stronger participation and where improvements are needed. In addition, ASCC has advanced development of the ASCC communication chat rooms as part of our engagement infrastructures. The initiative is designed to centralize updates, improve clarity of messaging, and strengthen accessibility between students' leadership and broader Calbright community. The goal is to reduce communication gaps and create a more visible, responsive ASCC presence. The ASCC Events Workshop launched this month with a focus on skills building workshops, networking opportunities, and structured forums that reflect themes identified during officer interviews and students' feedback efforts. Program decisions continue to be informed by qualitative insights gathered during the recruitment and engagement conversations. Leadership strengthening also remain a priority. With all officers' roles filled, we continue aligning responsibility with Clifton's strength insights to ensure accountability, role clarity, and effective collaboration. Internal processes are being refined to improve consistency in reporting, follow-throughs, and engagement tracking. As we move forward, ASCC remains committed to preserving what is effective, addressing areas of growth, maintaining alignment with institutions' priorities. Our focus continues to center to students' voice, structured engagement, and measured progress. We look forward to continuing to provide clear updates on initiatives, milestones, and students' feedback in the months ahead. Thank you for your continued support of students' leadership, its importance role in strengthening Calbright's college experiences. And that's it from us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Imani. I appreciate your report.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to item 7.1, which is our public forum. Terry, are there any members of the public who wish to be heard?
There is no public comment.
Okay. All right. The business of the Board of Trustees is now complete, and we can adjourn. Thank you for your participation. It's 11:48.